I just went and saw a movie. Here's what I think about it. Wreck-It Ralph 2, or Ralph Breaks the Internet. Even though it should be Ralph Wrecks the Internet, but whatever. Just recently came out, and I went and saw it by myself with 3 other guys that were by themselves. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just throwing it out there that there wasn't any kids. Sure, I went and saw it on Thanksgiving night. You would think for the 57th Disney film, you would think it'd have more of a pull, but so far, in my local theater, not so much. I mean, it's already almost got 20 million in the box office, so there's that, and it's projected to make pretty big figures, at least for Thanksgiving weekend. But it's got other contenders, pun intended, with Creed 2 being out in theaters, Widow's just coming out, and still some other child movies like The Nutcracker and The Grinch, depending on where you're at. So there's other things that parents, not necessarily families, might want to go see. And I'm not sure if you should go see this one. So the basic plot of the film is that Penelope and Wreck-It Ralph, or Ralph, I'm just going to keep on calling him that for the rest of this. Ralph and Vanellope must find a piece for Vanellope's broken game, and they go to the internet to find it on eBay. That's the general gist of the plot. It changes and develops as the characters change and go about their ways. But the problem is that we've already seen Ralph and Vanellope kind of develop from the first film, right? That was the kind of purpose of it. They had their third act breakup in that film, and you would think they would reconcile, and we wouldn't have to go through that again. But we do in this film, and it's kind of just bullcrap. There's a lot of bullcrap in this film. Also, Stan Lee is in here in a way, and he doesn't talk, and that kind of made me sad during the film, because it's like, oh, he's dead. And for a second I was like, oh, he didn't get to film his line for this film, but I was like, oh wait, no. He was alive for this because it was being in production like 2016, 2017. So he was alive. They just didn't do it, and it's just bad timing, but you're just like, God, Stan. So when I got out of the theater, I wrote down a couple notes on my phone. I wrote a little note that said, plot is nowhere but everywhere. So the plot is very simple, like I said, but it actually gets convoluted and changes with the development of a character. And by development, I mean they didn't have a long enough film yet, so they had to change it up and get something else. Because you get the piece, like they get the piece halfway into the film of the eBay, off of eBay, and so there's another half of the film that needs to be filled, and it just kind of goes off the rails. Now, right now, I will tell you, even as a young adult male, the Disney princess scenes saved the film. Like, without those, this is like abysmal ratings, but they did a lot of cool things with it, and just, I think they worked it pretty well. There are some awkward moments where princesses, since there's so many of them in the scenes, and they're all together, it's not really like, you know, one just comes and talk. It's 3 or 4 at the same time, but in a room of all of them. And so there's a couple times where some of them are just like in the background. That's kind of haunting. But other than that, like, all of them are a lot of fun. And there's a moment where a musical set piece goes through, and each time a certain Disney princess comes on, then her theme song starts playing while in the same time of the Wreck-It Ralph soundtrack, and it's so cool. And what they're doing is cool, I guess. But it's more of a plot-oriented coolness, so I won't go there. But it's just, the thing is, though, that all these scenes that I'm talking about with the Disney princesses, ironically, it's going to be on YouTube. And I say ironically because, you know, they're in the internet, and so it's kind of funny that eventually it'll just be on the internet. That is where you should go see the scenes at. Don't go to the cinemas. If you liked Wreck-It Ralph 1, you might not like Wreck-It Ralph 2. I walked out of a theater with these random people and didn't have wow, that was like a cool film. That was just like a, oh man, look at the time, got to get out of here, because it's a short film, but it feels so long. It drags. There's not a lot going on. Like I said, the plot is very thin. It kind of just sends our characters from one spot to the other, and that's kind of it. It's a better version of the Emoji Movie, and that's not a compliment, because the Emoji Movie, you could tell, oh, we wanted to go to Dance Dance, we wanted to go here, we wanted to go here, and there's a plot somewhere in there, right? With Wreck-It Ralph 2, it's the same thing. Oh, how can we get these two characters into the internet? Oh, well, what if something broke? Okay, that gives us like 30 minutes. Okay, we hashed that out. Okay, what if someone changed their feelings? And then they got angry. And then one of them messed up a lot to try and solve everything, and it made it worse. And then it just goes off the rails, and there's a creepy looking figure, in case you ever do go see this, that is just haunting. Like, it's made up, this entity is made up of smaller entities, and all you see is just hands on top of hands on top of bodies on top of hands, just, and it's just haunting. Like, none of these entities are speaking, and it's just a massive thing of just hands and bodies moving slowly. I bet it took a lot to animate, and I appreciate the animation department going into great detail with it, but at the same time, it's a kids movie. I don't need to see this haunting image do that well. You could have just made it, I don't know, kind of 8-bit or 16-bit or something, to where it would flow with the internet theme, but also like, it doesn't necessarily have to do with Wreck-It Ralph's game, but you know, there's older games, and even though it's the internet, there could still be older things that you could base this on, make it not creepy. But yeah, and there's just a lot of themes going on, a lot that are not kids, but then again, a lot that are not adults. And obviously, like, by like not adults, I mean it's just like really kiddish and really like childish in nature. And it just doesn't have the same. It doesn't have the same personality as the first one. The first one, I felt it a little bit, and this is, I'm just going to talk about it because it's the first one. It was years ago. I'll do it vaguely. When a certain thing was destroyed, the emotional impact of that, you felt it for a little bit in the film, and how the characters came back together after it was touching. Here we don't have any of that. There's that stupid third act argument I talked about, and then all of a sudden they're fine after like a talk. And that's another thing. Everything that is message based or message wise, which is a couple of them, everything that is based upon the movie's message, and there's kind of actually multiple messages throughout the film, and it's kind of vague on some of them, but others it's like right on the nose. They're just kind of annoying and 10 years too late. The best way to describe this film is to describe a scene. There's a scene where a character's like, oh, video game walkthroughs are very popular on the internet. Yeah, sure, there's Rad Brad and other people like there that do walkthroughs, but the problem is that they show Fortnite, and not just like the Fortnite game, as in like the actual Save the World mode, but the Battle Royale mode that we all know and either love or hate. And even if you don't know what that is, my point is that that isn't a walkthrough game. Now, that's a very, very minor detail, right? And only like a person like me that's played the game might know that. But therein lies the problem. They attach something to the movie just because of what it is, or how they can incorporate Fortnite into it, period, right? But that's kind of the situation with a lot of things in the film. That they would incorporate something, not do a lot of research on it, and then just put in the film for us to watch and be like, oh, there's that in there. I don't like that. That kind of seems like a cheap ploy to get me involved into the movie and involved into the plot, when I think it's just lazy writing. The fact that 5 people wrote this and 2 people directed this is just blasphemy to me. I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I could have wrote this, anyone else could have wrote this. We would have got a different ending, because my gosh, the ending's kind of just sad. And not like Toy Story 3 sad, where you're like, oh, Andy, you like magnificent hero, like you sacrifice your toys to have someone else have a good time, and you're just like, God, the feelings, it's sad, but it's happy, but it's sad. That's not here. It's just sad. It's just hit. The ending is stupid. Now, right now, I'm giving the film 5 out of 10. I feel like you take away half the nostalgia of the Disney and all the coolness with the Disney princesses, we're talking 2 or 3, because it's just as bad as the Emoji Movie in some aspects. Now, I'm going to spoil it a little bit here. So, if you don't want to get it spoiled and you actually want to watch this, then stop watching, because that's the review. But if you want to keep on watching, then here's this thing. At the end of the film, it's told that our main characters, Vanellope and Ralph, who love each other, and it stated in the film that they love each other, go about their separate ways, even after reconciling, right? And they can only talk once a week over this weird phone, and then they only see each other in person every couple months. What kind of ending is that for a kid's movie? You know, I get that if they want to have an ambiguous kind of ending similar to that in an adult film or like a teenage film or maybe like a superhero film. You know, the best example maybe being Pirates of the Caribbean, when Will Turner can only go to land once in a while. That's sad, but it's still like, ah, God, he's still going to land and wasting his day with Elizabeth. You know, that's kind of poetic. I'm giving a lot of credit for Pirates of the Caribbean here, but, you know, that part was nice. It was, you know, there was actual sacrifice there. Here, it doesn't make any sense. It's the internet, so he could go anytime, and she could go anytime, and it just doesn't make sense why they would put it in there. And it kind of harkens back to my point about the Fortnite thing. I feel like a lot of things are just put in here just because. And I really don't see where they take Wreck-It Ralph 3. I really hope that's not going to be a thing. You know, you've made 57 films via the Disney name. Don't make the 65th Wreck-It Ralph 3. Just this little series here, and don't push it. You've already pushed it with this one. Also, if you really hate the Disney formula, don't watch this film, because they shove Disney down your effing throat. But that's all the time I have for today. My name is Clark Addison. I review entertainment because I care. And I'll see you guys in the next one.